human beings on this planet are a result of thousands and thousands of years of evolution. And it is not a coincidence that for the majority of human life, for most of us at least, we are seeking to establish some amount of security, some amount of protection in life, some amount of stability. But this is a huge problem in the human mind, that we are sacrificing our own inner well-being for immediate pleasures, immediate desires. Very rarely in life does any human being create an effort to inquire, to doubt, to look into life out of his own intelligence. Because one thing is that if you live life with doubt for too long, this is bound to create a lot of disturbance within any human being. We want to live this life with a certain sense of being in control, a certain sense of being well established. But this kind of attitude has very little to do with really inquiring deeply and understanding what are the root causes of our sufferings in life. Our sufferings of the mind are not just accidental. Usually we think the suffering is because of the situation on the outside. Either the job is creating the suffering, or some unpleasant person, or some disharmony in the society. But think about it. What is it which has created this society? Society by itself, it's just simply a concept, a useful concept, a practical concept, an idea. But what is it that creates the society? It's the individuals who are involved in the society and the kind of inner atmosphere that they are carrying within them. Naturally, if you're in suffering within yourself, aren't you bound to project it and spread it around? So what we see in the society, this is so essential to understand, because when I talk about inner well-being, don't underestimate it, because your individual well-being is not just limited to individual well-being. Because every human being, whether directly or indirectly, whether knowingly or unknowingly, we are all contributing our own stream of energy to the collective stream of energy that exists in the society. So naturally, if you have a society where the average state of consciousness of the average human being is in a state of misery, fear, anguish, naturally there's going to be disharmony in the society. But if you have a society where the average state of consciousness of the average individual is living out of clarity of perception, wakefulness, insight into not just the nature of existence, but insight into your own being, then naturally there's going to be well-being in the society. It is really inseparable. And this has been the formula that has been tried for centuries. If you look at all the political movements that have happened in the world, all the religious struggles, all the systems that have been coming and going, all the thousands and thousands of philosophies that have been created, this has been the usual approach, that by trying to transform the outside, you can bring a transformation of the human being. This is a false way of thinking, because if we are to have an understanding of the problems that exist in the society, we need to go so deep down to the very roots. And the root causes of any kind of suffering, whether it's at the social level or whether it's at the level of the individual, it has its roots at the level of the mind. So, to nourish the roots of your well-being, this is the whole emphasis of the spiritual process. You want to come to know a state of being where your well-being is determined by nothing else except your own inner awareness, your own intelligence, your own inner consciousness. Because the world is just giving you information to your mind and your senses through hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. All that the world and the society is doing, it's just giving us information to the five senses. Now, what this mind manufactures out of this, now this is entirely our own doing. So this is a bit like a factory, a factory which is manufacturing various different kinds of products. Your mind can manufacture from this heap of information you're taking in. Your mind can manufacture fear, hate, greed, anger, confusion, anxiety, clarity, fearlessness. This is largely the experience of your life. If you really look very deeply into it, it has mostly to do with less to do with outside circumstances and more to do with how the mind is responding to certain situations. So, when you say that somebody's getting involved in the spiritual process, what it means is that you're assuming absolute responsibility for your own inner well-being. You don't want your inner well-being to be determined by either the type of conditions that are experienced in the society or the background, your upbringing, all the memories that you've experienced from birth to the present moment, the religious conditioning, the kind of education that you've had. You want your well-being to be determined absolutely by your inner state of being. Got it? Is well-being a technique? Just look in your life if you've noticed those moments when you were really happy and in bliss. Wasn't it an experience which was happening spontaneously? It was not something which was prepared for. It just arose just like everything else in existence. It just arises spontaneously in the moment. But every time you have made an effort to prepare for your well-being, now you've opened doors for so many disappointments. Just the very expectation that things have to go your way, the very expectation and the desire that you've created this image in the mind, right? Isn't that mostly what you're doing by trying to achieve any desire? You've created an image in the mind, and unless that image is fulfilled as to how things should unfold, you're unwilling to settle for any kind of contentment in life. So this is what it is like when a human being is living with so many cravings, attachments, unfulfilled desires, expectations, too much fixated on a goal to achieve. It's as if you've written a contract. And in this contract, you've created a whole list, A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way down through the alphabet. But so many conditions for your well-being, conditions for your happiness, that unless these conditions are fulfilled, you're not willing to settle for any kind of contentment in life. But isn't this an enormous difference? If already you're in a state of contentment, then no matter what you do, sitting here doing nothing, this can be a tremendous celebration. No matter what you do at whatever time, at whatever place, in the same way that if you're in deep suffering within yourself, you'll be carrying the same sufferings everywhere with you, like a shadow. It doesn't matter what are the outside circumstances. In exactly the same way, if a human being just comes to a certain level of freedom and liberation within himself, then no matter where he goes, at whatever time, at whatever place, you find there is a certain silence that remains unclouded. And this silence is always there. It's something that's, if you just observe very closely, and this is what you learn in meditation, to make your attention more sensitive. And you find the more sensitive your attention becomes in the background of the noise of the mind, you find that there's a certain silence that's always running underneath all of our experiences. So part of the emphasis of the whole spiritual process is to awaken a certain intelligence within you, which is in tune with this silence. So this type of intelligence has been called in the yogic sciences, it has been called prajna, a higher intuitive intelligence. There's another way of experiencing life which is not just limited to the intellect.